So under lights, they set off at Sydney Motorsport Park ahead of the race start for Ferrari Challenge. Third stop on the tour. Coming into this, Antoine Gattani is on top from an outright perspective on 67 points from Jim Pollicino, who we spoke to on the grid there before, and the margin is more than 20 points. Gattani off the back of a nigh-on perfect outing at Mount Panorama Bathurst, backed up by a stellar job at Phillip Island, comes in very strong form.
Yeah, Antoine obviously is the man to chase at the moment. But what I am going to see will be interesting will be Enzo Cheng, off the same row of the grid at the start there. I think he spoke about this at Phillip Island. He's really playing the mental game. He knows he's still in with a chance of class points, and there is a kind of a handicap points as well. So Enzo's only sitting 5 points behind in the actual handicap of the championships at the moment. So I think he'll play with his head. It's really for Enzo, it's going to be looking at those guys behind Cameron Campbell, Mark Hutters. They're all sort of hunting around there. Obviously, Jim Pollicino on the grid spoke about, he wished he could have qualified higher, and he is, as we've seen, he does have the racecraft. So,
quick snapshot of qualifying from earlier today, held under clear skies, unlike Friday here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Warm conditions in the morning, little bit of traffic to begin with. And the early pace setter was Cam Campbell here in the 23. He would ultimately end up locking in fourth spot, second row of the grid for race one.
Yeah, Cameron did an excellent job there, and also doing as he sort of hoped to, get out, bank a lap and save those tyres for the race. And I really think in these slippery or colder conditions, that was a really good move to play the long game with that, because his tyres are going to be coming on a little bit earlier and holding on for a bit longer during the 30-minute race tonight.
Tony Baldwin there in the 111 a moment ago. We saw Micho Stefan as well.
David
as the session
as well in the 170. That was the great story from yesterday of the 100-hour rebuild on that car yesterday. A number of crew jumping on, but was it awesome to see him come back on the grid today.
Remarkable. Enzo Cheng went for it and ultimately would get that almost trademark blue Ferrari of his onto the front row, second fastest, and pole in the copper shell class. Really good job.
Towards the end of the session there, Baby K having a bit of a moment. Just finding the limits of that car a little bit, maybe a bit busy from the traffic behind as well, but he ended up finishing quite well at the end of the races, ended qualifying there with a strong result. So looking forward to seeing him move up the grid during the race tonight.
We have a contingent of Japanese racers who are with us for this weekend's round, and we'll talk a bit more about that as the action unfolds.
Not as busy as the Great Western Highway we can see on the side there, which is good.
I know which road I'd rather be on, though.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I'll take the safety car if I need to. But it's fantastic seeing these cars under lights, as Stubbsy said before in the grid walk. It really is great. And as I mentioned in qualifying earlier today, the brakes will get over 900 degrees. We'll see coming into turn 2 here into the hairpin. This big stop we're looking at now, nearly 2.5 G under full braking. Race prepped ABS in these cars, so you'll see glowing front, maybe towards the end of the race you might even see glowing rear rotors as well, and particularly on the newer 296 cars with that slightly higher output, you will be seeing flames coming out of the exhaust on the upshifts and the downshifts. They're amazing cars to see.
Among the many things with the 296, just the evolution I'm talking about in the car here, it has a very predictable braking system for the competitors, even as things wear and with a little bit of age too, doesn't it?
Absolutely right, Rusty. It does have fly-by-wire braking, so something that's come out of the technology of Formula One over the last few years has made its way into the road car and in the race car as well. So a fly-by-wire brake pedal, meaning that they're not directly pushing onto a master cylinder, but what that means is it does give them a consistent feel the whole way through the race, even as brake pad wear and rotor wear comes into play. That doesn't change the way the pedal feels, which, as you said, makes the driver feel more confident the car is going to pull up every time. And that coupled with an adjustable ABS, and I think it was Antoine that mentioned that on the grid walk, they have the ability to change traction control and ABS as the track conditions and the tyre changes as the car evolves over the race.
Our CRC grid sheet showing you there the different classes as well. Trofeo Pirelli, for those with the red band across the front of the windshield, and often the front running, if you will, cars. Copper Shell, of course. Enzo Cheng is on the front row. Did an amazing job in that car. They have the yellow band over the windshield. And Trofeo Pirelli 488 as well. Micho Stefan in the 212. So lights are out on the safety car. We'll get some updates from the lane as the race unfolds as well. Half an hour of competition here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Antoine Gattani, is he about to build on what has been a very impressive start to this 5-round season?
And our race director, Anthony Jenkins, was quite specific about making sure there are 2 lines rolling over their grid box. Steve Owen, our driving standards advisor, also ensuring about the overlap, making sure they understand the overlap situation here. Let's hope for a nice clean start coming into to turn 1. If I was a betting man, I'd say Enzo Cheng's in the prime position. I'd want to be on the wide line coming into turn 1.
What a great sight as they gently, for now, make their way down the main straight at Sydney Motorsport Park. But all that beautiful Italian horsepower is about to be unleashed, and away we go and racing.
You can feel the commentary box shaking as a couple of thousand horsepower rolls past them. What a sound.
All into turn 1. They've been carrying when they're at full speed down the main straight. Some decent numbers into turn 1 as well. Now Cheng is under pressure here at the moment. He's going to hold on to second place, but only through a little bit of braver, deeper braking.
Yeah, great move there by Enzo, just holding his own. He does have the pace, I think, early on to slick in front of Cameron there. But I think, as we discussed, Cameron's tyre's been a little bit younger. We'll probably see him probably pushing in the mid part of the race here. We'll have some grip.
Admire Cameron Campbell there with on that, the colder rubber still, just to have a crack there, at least, psychologically.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to stick the nose up the inside, let them know you are here to race. You're not here to just drive around in procession. And we can see a move on the inside here. Don't know if he's going to get that done in time.
Jim Pollicina has a look. They make their way around Corporate Hill now. He'll be not quite able to get it done there.
Trying to make up for his qualifying woes that he spoke about before. And as we said, he does have the racecraft. He does have that experience. So I expect to see Jim plucking some positions off here. We showed that at Phillip Island. He hunted down Enzo, but he didn't have enough time and enough tyre left to obviously chase down Antoine. He just had the outright pace.
Gattani is bolting already, has more than a second, I think. It says 0.8 on the monitor, but that was at the last split. I reckon it's even more than that as they come into the final complex of corners. Pollicina still holding down that 4th place. Down the main straight they come. In fact, Cheng's actually pulled back a little bit of ground there. That's impressive. Back to half a second.
Getting up to 7th gear here, nearly 280 k's an hour, particularly in this cold air. Those turbochargers are going to be delivering all the power they can to that rear axle. But amazing speed through turn 1 here. Antoine is obviously just holding that little gap there. A little bit of a wriggle under brakes. That's quite common in these cars. The ABS system does allow the car to move around quite a bit under brakes and still keep nice stability. It doesn't have stability control, but the ABS does let the car move around on each corner as it needs to. You can see those exhaust pipes already glowing red hot. Won't be long before we see those flames coming out now they're up to race speed.
In this championship, customer is king. The racing customers are the kind of the core of what you do here, and they're all at different levels, and that's the thing, because whether it's some of the engineers, the coaches, the dealerships that get behind this from all around Australia and beyond for that matter, it is about tailoring it to those customers and their racing ambitions, shall we say.
Absolutely, Rusty. It is the ultimate arrive and drive, you might say. There's over 100 people here this weekend to make sure these cars are running on track and everything's running perfectly, from driver coaches and engineers all the way through to a physio and masseuse we have on site as well to sort of look after the drivers between sessions. It really is about, no matter what level the driver's at, getting them to a point where they're ready to come racing with Ferrari Challenge, and then developing them further. There's obviously the pathway from here is to go and jump in a GT3 car after Ferrari Challenge. So we'd love to see drivers progressing through the ranks that way, and the whole sort of formula that's created around that sort of ecosystem of Ferrari driver training really sort of helps develop those drivers at whatever level.
I'd be lying if I said I hadn't tried to sneak into the corporate box as well. It's one of the hottest tickets here.
You're going to say the driver's seat, Rusty.
I know a bloke, he might be able to help me. So,
but if I turn the history back, I think you and I have sat together in a car at Bathurst.
We have.
I don't know why I took the invite to come back and sit next to you here.
You're a brave man to do that on a racetrack. I think it's much easier coming and sitting here in the comp box. Back we go to Jim Pollicina, who's closed right up on the back here of Cameron Campbell, and having a little look, not quite, shows the nose, and again, that's the experience, I think, of Pollicina, isn't it? Just knows the venue, knows what it's like to race in these kind of conditions, and just using a little bit of that in the way of mind games. Having those lights blaring in the rearview mirrors, got to be a factor. Here he comes.
He's going to get the move done heading into turn 6. Nicely done, Jim. great position is obviously move the car over, but also something that Lockie spoke about is having bright lights in the camera, the rear vision camera these cars have got. That little bit of offset we saw where he moved the car to the inside, showed the nose, it does help with visibility of a car behind, because modern GT cars do have a very big blind spot, you might say, side to side. So you really need to make sure you move the car over to get those headlights in their mirrors and in their camera to make sure they can see that you're there.
Fastest lap of the race so far is a 31.65. And it means that Antoine Gattani has a 2.4 second lead at the moment. So he's got plenty of margin.
But he has shown previously that regardless of the margin, Antoine will press on and try and do fastest lap after fastest lap. There is a point for fastest lap in championship points. So as long as he banks that fastest lap, he does get the bonus point, which he has managed to do in the last couple of rounds, is get the pole lap, the race win, and the fastest lap, collecting as many points as possible.
When you delve deeper into the numbers for Bathurst and for Phillip Island, that's very much been part of his story, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Almost a perfect sweep. I think only Ernst Kirkmeyer, our driver out of Austria, was the only one to pull a point away from him so far.
So at the moment, the question will be, can Pollicina, now that he's cleared Cameron Campbell, maybe start to eat into the gap between himself and Enzo Cheng in second place? We have 18 minutes remaining in this race. First one of the weekend. They'll qualify again tomorrow and go racing again tomorrow as well. And they get a fresh set of rubber for the whole experience too. Yeah,
exactly. They get a second set of tyres for Quali 2 and Race 2. So they can do what they want with these tyres at this point. Burn them up and make the most out of them for the end of this race.
Talked about it on the grid, about a couple of the points around the circuit. The lighting's fantastic, but there are a couple of points in the circuit where it is darker, isn't it? Is that a thing that you've had to step the drivers through and how to adjust for that? Be aware of that?
Yeah, a bit of a moment there for Micho Stefan then coming out of turn 8 as well, just probably playing with the traction control and exploring the grip. But absolutely right, Rusty. Now, these cars are very, very quick, but also, as I spoke about, the blind spots, similarly through some of these corners, you can see how dark it is inside the cabin and how bright it is outside, but in some parts that variation of light and dark between the lights and the change of direction does make it quite hard for your eyes to adjust at this sort of pace inside the car. So sometimes you might see little tricks where they have like a purple light inside the car which helps illuminate the inside. It does help your eyes adjust a little bit to what's going on outside there, but ultimately for most of them this is the first time they've had this experience. So I'll be interested to get the feedback from them tonight ahead of tomorrow's race as well, which is during the day.
Decent horsepower from these cars as well. They don't have the added systems that you would normally have from an electric support standpoint, do they?
No, they're not running the hybrid in the race car. They're only purely twin turbocharged. When I say purely, it's still a twin turbocharged V6 with several hundred horsepower. It's nothing short there. But yeah, the road cars do run the hybrid system, but the race cars, they don't run that. They just run the twin turbocharged system, which obviously, as I've said, in this cold air is when they really love to sort of thrive. And as we're seeing now, glowing header pipes and the exhaust at the back there, they're obviously loving this cold air. And it would be quite a thrill in the cars at this point in time with the cool air for the track as well as for the engine.
Great for the fans too to see them lit up like that in all sorts of different ways. So we're approaching half race distance here at the moment. Gattani has, now that's interesting, Cheng's been able just to manage the gap. We thought that Antoine might keep building it, but Enzo's kept within earshot there. It's about 2.7 seconds there now, so the gap has increased a little, but not massively.
And we've spoken about this before as well from a coaching point of view. We've got Ben Porter coaching both Antoine and Enzo. So is he telling Enzo to push and Antoine to just manage the gap? I don't know how that quite works in this situation. But with quite a bit of time to go, I think it would be prudent of him to reserve tyres and just manage that gap the whole way through. He's already got the fastest lap. He's got nothing to lose at this point.
Could see there as it came out of 5 a moment ago. Let's have a little look here out of 6. Watch the exhausts. There's the glow. So it's 2.8 seconds. Antoine Gattani leads from Enzo Cheng and Jim Pollicina. Coverage of the latest round of Ferrari Challenge live at Sydney Motorsport Park continues, all as a part of the Shannon's Speed Series. watching second place in this race, and leader of the Copper Shell class as well in Enzo Cheng, who has just come on in leaps and bounds as a racer. He's really enjoyed the whole experience, shall we say, hasn't he?
Absolutely, and this is a guy who's done a lot of laps around here in road cars on track days. So to see him progress from that into, running second in a national championship race at the moment is fantastic to see, and driving really well in doing it, setting very, very, competitive lap times and holding his own there against someone like a Jim Pollicina in P3 is a fantastic result for Enzo so far.
So Jim's now got, in fact, maybe a little bit more than that, out to about 7 seconds over Cameron Campbell in fourth place. So a little bit of work to do to catch Enzo Cheng. Enzo's been able to really, there you go. You can see the 3 seconds now. So Enzo's still keeping it within striking distance, but just minimising how much Antoine is building that lead. Let's go to Bella in the lane.
Yes, I'm joined alongside Ben Porter. Currently got 1, 2, 3 in this race as coach. And what goes into having drivers in those top 3 positions? I imagine there's no team orders or anything of that sort, but what's it like as a coach?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty proud of the guys. They're all putting in a huge amount of effort. They're all very experienced drivers in their own right. So to come here, for all of them, it's a home track. They're finding gains in themselves every session we go out. So look, I'm really happy. I really enjoy this side of motorsport.
And Antoine, he's just been the picture of consistency throughout the season so far. What's the secret behind that for him?
He's brave. That really helps. And obviously, once you get out into clean air, then you can sort of manage your own speed and manage your race as you go. And fortunately, he's really good on a cold tyre. That gets him a bit of a gain, and now he's just managing the race.
And your assessment of the conditions they're facing right now?
Look, I think the track's fast. The guys up the front, we know Eastern Creek's pretty hard on tyres, so they've made a bit of a break, and now they're just really managing the race to get to the end. Make sure we've still got plenty of tyre at the end.
I'll let you get back to it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Just while Bella was talking about that, Enzo Cheng went fastest in the middle sector, so
half a second as well.
To the whole point of their that part of their conversation, at least anyway, around the pace of the track or what it's like at this stage of the game. Now, Cameron Campbell was coming under pressure there from Hunters in the number 1, who's gone around off the exit of turn 2.
So he should be probably slippery grass there at the moment, but he'll probably recover okay, and thankfully hasn't brought too much grass or debris onto the circuit in the recovery process there.
Just wonder if the temptation was there. He knew he was really close to Cameron Campbell there, and maybe a chance at fourth place, but sometimes that that erring on the side of being a little bit cautious, particularly when you're coming through this corner here. Let's have a look.
Yeah, just held a little bit tight there, probably looking to try and do the overlap coming out of 3 down into 4. And with the traction control system here, you do have a lot of adjustability here. You can still spin the car even though you've got traction control on. So, as you said, Rusty, I think just a little bit eager to try and get that move done before it was necessarily on. But I think he'll learn from that mistake.
Hell of a temptation. It's understandable. Gattani leads the way by 4.6 seconds from Jim Pollicina. Campbell holding down 4th. And Shibata now up into 5th. The view from on high in the final sector at Sydney Motorsport Park with 11 minutes remaining, watching.
That's Taguchi-san back on the track as well. Great story there as well. Had an incident in practice, crashed the car at turn 2, big repair job overnight for that car, but then he was sick for racing this morning, so stewards cleared him with a medical check ahead of this race, and it's great to see him start rear of grid and move his way up into P8. That's an awesome result. Massa will be stoked with that, and also he's not far off a podium for Copper Shell class.
And when you look at it on a personal best basis, he's churning out some very good sector times as well, really quick in the final sector last time by, so doing a good job in 8th place there at the moment.
Tony Belton there having a look up the inside of Micho Stefan. Different classes again, so that's a very
9th place, yeah.
Very polite overtake there, but again, both these drivers understanding they're in a different class of racing here, so they're just focusing on those points. Micho at the moment is P1 for his class, so why take the risk?
Great roll-up of fans that you have had here that have come for the entire experience, from those that we've wandered past in the corporate facility, which is right there at the sort of the pit entry end, upstairs there in the corporate suite, and then downstairs as well from the engineering area that you've got and all the spare parts that you brought and so on. I mean, it's a massive undertaking, this, isn't it? It's
huge, yeah. There's a lot of trucks just bringing in all of the back-end support of this event, and a lot of staff, as you mentioned here. It's sort of around 10 to 1 in terms of the ratio of staff to cars that are on the grid here. But as you mentioned, the fans, and that's what's obviously with Ferrari, it's all about having, the familiar Ferrari, but Sydney track, a lot of local Sydney drivers here. We've had a huge amount of guests come through, and it's awesome. It's great to see so many smiling faces. A lot of people bringing their kids out as well. I know when I was a kid going to a racetrack, that got me hooked for life, and it is a fantastic way of sort of, bringing family and friends together at the racetrack.
That is our responsibility now, to hand that mantle over and to hopefully. Yeah, I mean, you and I both know what that was like as a youngster, the feeling, the sensation, the visceral thing about experiencing, like watching night racing like this, seeing an aspirational car like this, hearing it, watching the glowing exhaust pipes and so on, and the impact that has. I mean, if we can get a few people to come with us on that motorsport journey that are young, up-and-coming fans, that's a good thing.
That's right. I've got my son and daughter, Arlo and Luna, coming tomorrow to the track, and I think that's probably going to put my superannuation into jeopardy. But it'll be awesome to sort of see their reaction to these cars up close as well, because they've never been and seen this before. So it'd be fantastic to see their faces like I did.
We welcome them with open arms. Can't wait to have them here at the track for round 2 of the Shannon Speed Series. Eight and a half minutes remain in the first race of the weekend for Ferrari Challenge. We get to do it all again tomorrow, but in the daylight tonight, it's about showcasing the cars under lights, and they look pretty as a picture here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Antoine Gattani leading the way by 6.6 seconds now from Enzo Cheng. Now, Jim Policina is in third place, but I tell you what, Jim has not been able to make the inroads that I thought he might on Enzo. Enzo's held down that second place and done a mighty job of it too. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic ride by both of them. Jim spoke about not wanting to be at P6, but very early on just put his experience into that overtaking without losing too much time and getting himself into some clean air. He doesn't have the outright pace, but he's still currently sitting P2 for his class. It's an awesome drive by Jim. I know he'll be super pumped also being a local track for him and local fan base. A guy that's done very well in business, and nice to see him continue, because he's done that in other classes too, but continue that affinity with motor racing. He absolutely loves it. Probably just need to keep a little eye on the fact that Campbell, holding down fourth place, is in quite close company there. That's going to be a good fight toward the end of this race for fourth spot. Absolutely, and behind him is Shibata, who's currently sitting, our Japanese driver, currently sitting P2 in class. Whether he takes the risk at getting Campbell, who's not far off, but as you say, he does have the pace at the moment to potentially move his way up into P4 outright, which would be an amazing job for a driver that's not run around here before. The crew that you have that work on this have come from all sorts of areas, but can we just highlight, as we watch Enzo Cheng at the moment there, the fact that we have a number of dealerships from around the country and beyond that are playing a significant part in this, from Ferrari Sydney. I mean, this is something they're very proud of from a home round perspective, if you will. Ferrari Richmond in Victoria, Brisbane, of course, are represented, and then even wider than that, in Japan too. Absolutely, our Osaka dealer Cornez is here with 3 of their drivers represented on the grid, which is just amazing. And part of the Ferrari Hub program allows drivers any driver anywhere in the world who's part of Challenge, including our own local drivers here, could go and race in any other Ferrari Challenge series anywhere in the world. And that's a really big part of it, because you could go and race at Laguna Seca in North America, or Spa, or at the British Grand Prix, or anything like that. So it really does give people an opportunity to sort of tick those bucket lists off in their racing, in their lives as well. And probably the big one is the Finale Mondiale, which is where all the World Championships of Ferrari Challenge come together, and it's like one big wrestling showdown that happens all at the same time. We're talking last year over 200 Ferrari Challenge cars at the event. We're talking 50 car grids. It was just an amazing spectacle. Just over 5.5 minutes remaining in this one. Fastest lap of the race, and Renato has talked about the importance of qualifying form and fastest laps and so on across the course of an event or a race weekend, but it's Antoine Gattani with a 1 minute 31.65 that has the quickest lap of this race, and by some margin too.
Do you think Antoine realises that his third sector is not the fastest sector of the race so far?
I'll leave that to you.
Is that the one box he has to tick at the end of this race?
You can bring that up with him. He's, as he's done in the opening few rounds, done a marvellous job. Just looking for a couple of the other standouts in this one. Taguchi-san is still in 8th place ahead of Tony Baldwin there. That's been a good battle, that one. Micho Stefan rounds out the top 10 in the field. We probably haven't spoken too much about the 170 here for Frisch, because the work that was involved on David's car to get that 296 challenge repaired in the wake of Phillip Island has been huge, Ren, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, Rusty. As I mentioned briefly earlier, over 100 hours of labour went into the car just yesterday. So we're talking 10 or 12 guys. As soon as the car arrived out of the body shop yesterday morning at about 9 a.m, the team of the MC Corsa guys from Ferrari Sydney, as well as the AF Course guys from the factory in Italy, all jumped on that car and then just worked non-stop until about 2 a.m. this morning. The car turned up here at 6 a.m. We had a shakedown of that car first thing this morning with Nathan Stevens, one of our coaches, on board. Got the thumbs up, a couple of small gremlins, which there will be in a full car rebuild. Of course, there's going to be some small electrical gremlins.
Pretty impressive.
They had that fixed, and then out it went for qualifying, and has been perfect all day. So I saw David just before the race earlier on, massive smile on his face. He's a really, really lovely guy and a great competitor, and been part of the Club Challenge program since its inception, and it's just awesome to see him back in his own car for this race.
That's the car on screen that we were talking about. All that incredible work went into it to get things back here, and that's in fact our race leader. So Antoine Gattani looking like, see the exhausts there, looking like getting closer to lapping him there by the looks of it. So he has nearly 10 seconds now over Enzo Cheng. No change. Jim Policina still holding down that 3rd place, but we're nearing the end of this one. Very different scenario for tomorrow. I mean, a great day of learning. Qualifying will take place like today in the daylight, but what an all-round experience for them. The racing under lights here and then getting to do it again tomorrow. And what's going to be a big day for us here?
Absolutely, and Rusty. And that was one of the things talking to SRO about kind of coming to this round was the ability to have a night race here. It is a spectacle. These cars look fantastic under lights with the glowing brakes and the flames out the back. But also from a driving point of view, they don't get a chance to do this very often, right? So having a race under lights today means that we can still have one, during the daylight hours tomorrow, but they can really kind of cover off both sides of the racing experience here this weekend.
Coaches do a phenomenal job. We've had a snapshot of everyone from Josh Buchan, who we talked to on the grid there. Lockie Manif's a part of it. Ben Porter and more. I mean, and the calibre of the coaches, along with the engineers for that matter. I mean, John Boston's one of the engineers. I mean, he's a guy who's been a very good racer and driver in his own right, but then assisting in an engineering capacity there too.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we've got a fantastic team of guys that have worked with me with Ferrari for a number of years in the road car side, as well as the Club Challenge program. And I guess what probably sets them apart from most racing car drivers is their ability to communicate and be willing to share, I guess, the trade secrets. They're being employed to sort of, I guess, just brain dump everything they can into somebody and really invest their heart and soul into the development of that driver. And there's not many race drivers out there that are willing to do that. So to find a group of guys that are fantastic communicators, great drivers obviously in their own right, that speaks for itself, but really willing to share their experience is a big part of what this is about. It's having that coach and that mentor kind of hold your hand and support you through your racing journey.
And that racing journey is very different for all of the competitors that you have here. Some are relatively new to it, as we talked about before. Others have a bit more experience, and how they digest, how they learn is very different as well on that journey.
That's right, and I guess part of that partnership is obviously pairing up the personality types and making sure we get that right, but also I guess some drivers do need a lot more hands-on assistance. When we do our Club Challenge events, our instructors sit in the passenger seat of these cars with an intercom. We talk real time, like you would call pace notes for rally, to get people up to speed, and then once they get to a certain point, we're then a bag of potatoes in the passenger seat. We're slowing them down, so we then need to get out of the car, and we use real-time live video and data from the pits to then coach them over radio to get them to that next level.
You get good at body language, don't you?
That's right, yeah. When you can see the whites of my eyes, it's time to pull in. Getting busy here now, though. Look at this.
Overconfidence, underconfidence. I'm sure you can pick it a mile off.
Yeah.
Right, we're in the closing stages of this one.
That's Shibata on Campbell there. So this could be a run to the line here, Rusty. This is a nice little pack here.
We talked about it before the break there. It was a second was the margin, but it's come well down. We're talking tenths now. It said 4 tenths, in fact, at the last split, but it'll be very interesting to see here if Cameron Campbell can hang on to this in the 23. They go into turn 1. The clock counts down to 0. So we'll confirm for you when they actually start the final lap. So there is a chance for Shibata-san here to have a good crack at this, maybe.
And it is, our races, Rusty, are 30 minutes plus 1 lap. So we've now counted down, so we'll have to wait till we pick up Antoine Gattani, who's somewhere in the middle sector at the moment, before we get that last lap ball. But there is a little bit of time. There's a lap and a half here to try and make this move. So I think this is where the coaches start earning their keep. They're trying to strategise.
Hudders has recovered as well too in car 1 after the little moment off the exit of turn 2, and he holds down 6th spot at the moment. There he is. So there's, as Ren's detailed,
you can see the car moving around a bit there on the rear tyre. He's obviously hurt that tyre with that spin earlier on. Car moving around a lot more than the others there in the middle of that pack.
Leader is on the final lap, has already cleared the start-finish line. So there is Antoine Gattani down at turn 2 now, bringing it home. Just got to, and can afford to, just manage. Has built an almost 10-second lead over Enzo Cheng. Been another masterclass performance from Antoine Gattani.
And he's got that big fan club here. It's a great result for Antoine. He's obviously, you put a lot more pressure on yourself when you invite family and friends out to come and watch your race, but he's done an amazing job so far, and it would be great to see that whole sort of family environment getting around him. I'm sure in the paddock and the podium after this will be a great thing to see.
He's got a bit of character too, which we like. So fastest lap of the race as well. Not suggesting that he'll eclipse that on the run home. Gee, the car looks cool, doesn't it, when it exits turn 6 there. Runs around Corporate Hill. Now, Policina's been able to get the margin to Enzo Cheng down to about 4.2 seconds. Won't do it in this race, but that might be a little bit of encouragement for Jim going into qualifying tomorrow and the final race of the weekend. So let's see what Jim Policina can do on Sunday, but it looks like he's going to open things here at Sydney Motorsport Park in Ferrari Challenge with a top 3, with a podium finish. Great work. It's been the story of the season so far, whether it's Bathurst or Phillip Island, and Antoine Gattani keeps that theme going at Sydney Motorsport Park. Greets the checkered flag. Congratulations.
Fantastic
Takes it out.
Drive by Antoine. Enzo coming in second place. Awesome drive by him, as well as Jim Policina to recover up to 3rd position there. What's really going to be telling is that little group behind we saw before. Cameron Campbell, Shibata and Hutters currently still in that order. But is anyone going to have a crack for the line at that last turn?
Here you go. You ask and you shall receive, says the race director. So we need to keep an eye on if there are going to be, in the last couple of corners, just any moves. Campbell, I think, is holding it out. Runs a fraction wider there. Shibata-san right there too. So they head to the line.
They're all looking for that toe. These cars do put a really good hole in the air to try and get a slipstream, but Mark's got to be a little bit closer to make that work there. But a great run to the line and an awesome drive by Cameron Campbell there. He's still on the podium for Trofeo Pirelli. P3 for him.
How good did it look under lights as well? And we didn't probably make a huge amount of noise. David Trewern was on the back of that group there too, so it was a real kind of 4-way fight amongst them, wasn't it? Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, fantastic result for him, and also there, Masahiro Taguchi, to see him coming through there in Copper Shell, P8 outright. Fantastic recovery from him, starting rear of grid, being sick this morning.
Yep, being a kind of frustrated spectator, I guess you could say, while qualifying unfolded this morning. That is indeed a very nice recovery. Top 10 result, we'll take that. Baildon ended up in 9th place, and Micho Stefan just coming out of the final corner there now, set to take 10th place as well. A nice job in the Trofeo Pirelli 488 class.
And bonus point for him, a fastest lap for the 488 class as well. So awesome result for him. A good bank of points for him in the 488 and also the outright.
We recap the results for you. So Antoine Gattani does it in outright terms. Congratulations though to Enzo Cheng, who wins the Copper Shell class. on Saturday night here. Jim Policina, an excellent third place. Cameron Campbell, Shibata-san was fifth. That was an awesome battle that between those competitors. And Stefan rounds out your top 10 here. We still have lots to come your way at Sydney Motorsport Park under lights, of course. GT3 competitors, an hour of racing still to come. Gattani will, from a meeting perspective, I think have accumulated 17 thus far for the weekend. Cheng 12 and Policina 10, but that is for the meeting. That is not for the championships respectively. But nigh on perfect for Antoine Gattani. What a weekend it's been thus far. We'll hear from the competitors and we'll celebrate their successes here in Ferrari Challenge 2. And I guess probably the positive thing is you guys can maybe wrap up without too much Saturday night.
Well, I think Josh asked for his steak medium rare earlier, right? So I better get the barbecue on and get everybody fed. But no, it's great to see the cars coming back in one piece, particularly after that big night last night for a lot of the crew. It's great to see the cars all coming back in one piece, and we can kind of get a good rest. And well done to the MC Corsa team as well. They did a massive job on those two cars getting repaired. Not one, but two cars being rebuilt in the same day is a mega effort. So well done to Adriano and all the team there in Ferrari Sydney.
Drivers are starting to get out of the cars. Crews are there to congratulate them. We'll let Antoine get that helmet off. I think I can see Bella Limbruggen standing by, and we'll be straight down there very shortly for you to be a part of those celebrations. Simon Poole in the background from Pirelli, who's kept an eye on the temperatures. Let's go to Bella, I think, who is with our race winner.
Yes, certainly I am. This is a familiar position for Antoine Gattani. Another race win, but this time, Antoine, as we let you get your helmet off, we can see there's a bit of a crowd gathering around here. This was extra special because you've had some family and friends here as well. What's it like to do it in front of them with their support?
Yeah, it was great, especially for my mum. It was awesome. Hard track, really hard on the body, and the tyres, it was so slippery at the end. But yeah, it was good. Good race.
Well done, and we'll let you go. Enjoy it with your friends and family.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Now we're going to move over here and have a quick chat to our winner of the Copper Shell class in Enzo Cheng. We'll let him take his helmet off. Another strong race win in his class. Enzo, I'm just going to jump in here quickly. Sorry to grab you straight out the car, but another win in the Copper Shell division. How did that one feel?
Yeah, it felt great, I knew if I could get in front of all the other cars, I knew it'd be hard to catch. Just try to keep up with Antoine as long as I could.
And conditions, how did you find it out there?
Oh, really good. I think, as the weekend goes on, it's going to keep getting better and better as long as the rain stays away.
Well done. We'll let you enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
All right, now on to our final winner in our Trofeo Pirelli 488 class. On top of the standings is Misho Stefan, and we'll just grab you for a quick chat if we could. Congratulations. Get that helmet off. It needs to be camera ready. It's a process, we know. But a huge result for you here at Sydney Motorsport Park this weekend. What does it mean to top your class today?
Great achievement. It was a beautiful weekend. Was able to get pole quite well. I was very lucky on that lap. It was a great weekend. It's a great result.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your, thank you.
He's a little croaky there, but you cannot mistake how much that means. Highlights for you of the first race of the weekend in Ferrari Challenge. They started after 2 rolling laps under lights here at Sydney Motorsport Park. What a great spectacle. Third stop on the tour for them, having been at Mount Panorama Bathurst and at Phillip Island. Antoine Gattani from pole position led them away. Cameron Campbell in the 23 there. Here's your race leader, who would ultimately build a lead of 10 seconds. It would be trimmed back to 9 at the end. Little moment for Hudders, who went around, but would ultimately recover and finish in a close battle for 6th place. In fact, from 5th through to about 8th spot was closely contested towards the end. That's the driver who would take out Copper Shell in Enzo Cheng, second outright for the race. Gattani with a great contingent of local supporters enjoying the first race win of the weekend. Great work. So very shortly we will take you to the podium presentation, and then we'll gear up, of course, for some GT3 competition here live at Sydney Motorsport Park. We get to do it all again tomorrow too.
I can't wait, Rusty. Qualifying 2 and race 2 tomorrow, so fresh rubber for everyone. So they'll get to go out and have a party again first thing tomorrow morning on some green tyres. And look, I think that racing there showed probably the true speed of everyone towards the end there. So the good news is it's going to have a very close qualifying, because that group of 4 cars there in the mid-pack were sensational to watch at the end. So I'm excited for tomorrow, Rusty.
Well done for you. Great work. We'll see you tomorrow. Renato Loberto. In the meantime, let's go to the podium.
In third place of Trofeo Pirelli is Cameron Campbell. In second place, Jim Policina. In first place, Antoine Gittani. Let the celebrations begin.